They don't want you to have a job. If you're in America, you're in a situation to where you see the world from one perspective or another perspective. And those perspectives are generated. They're based solely upon what media you're listening to, what personalities, who you're getting your information from. Because many of us don't have time to sit around and do research and try to do all the things. And so we all receive information from different areas. And so in one reality, you're in a situation to where the economy is great, everything's run well, the unemployment rate is the most wonderful low percentage that is, which is a great indicator, and the stock market is up. And so there's no other possible indication to believe anything else other than the fact that the country and the economy is going well and that everything is great. Things are perfect. There's nothing else you can believe if this is the worldview that you have. However, if you're on the flip side of the coin, you see things a little bit differently. You see people struggling. You see people having a difficult time to pay the bills. They're using credit cards. They're using older and older cars. They're not really buying anything new. And actually, people are, for the most part, just repairing what they have and just trying to get along with what they have because, frankly, that's the best they can do. Now, in that worldview, you say the economy is awful. It's hard to get a job. Nobody pays well. So how in the world can we say the economy is good if nobody's paying well and the jobs that you can get suck? And so right or wrong, whether we agree with it or not, we have these two conflicting worldviews. And so when I get asked this question, it comes down to, what is your reality? For you, okay, not what anybody's telling you, not what the media is telling you, not what anybody else is telling you, but what is your reality? Are you finding it easy to find a job? Are you getting paid well enough to compensate for the inflation? What's actually happening in your life? Because for the most part, from what I've been able to tell, most of the people are not doing well at all. Actually, it appears from where I'm sitting that many of the people who are doing well are people who are simply, they were doing well before, but now they're doing more well, right? More well. So they're doing really well. But everybody who is, you know, a working class person, who's somebody who's actually job seeking and that sort of thing, and somebody who isn't well known, nobody knows who the heck the person is, they're struggling and things are not that great. Okay, so this question, why is it so hard to get a job, was posted by 𝐦𝐸1541 on Reddit. Okay, they go through a lot of backstory here. They said they work in IT healthcare. And looks like they worked in help desk. They go through a lot of things of why they're awesome, like their computer science degree and their associate's degree. They have solid, quote unquote, experience in IT, 3 years of IT experience, have LinkedIn, do all this stuff, and that there's no reason they shouldn't be able to get a job. So there's a lot to unpack here. So, okay, so if you're working in IT right now, a lot of the jobs are being shipped overseas. A lot of the companies don't care about keeping American workers. They don't care about supporting America because a lot of these globalist companies, multinational companies, are already global thinking. They don't care about your nationality. They care about things from a global standpoint. So as we continue to unpack this, they have an IT degree and it sounds like they're working in help desk. Now, I don't know what many of you who work in help desk, but from what I've experienced, help desk is a glorified customer service support, technical support position. And you just end up doing things like you just do things like moving accounts. So if you get a brand new computer in the workplace, then some help desk person will grab your computer and upload your profile to your new computer. So your new computer will have all your stuff. You know, they'll do things like that, or if the fan breaks on your computer, well, and they'll spend time on trying to fix that issue, or they'll work with asset management to get you a replacement. At any time that you're working in any sort of support position at all, you're basically just somebody's gopher. You're somebody who's going to go out and grab stuff. You're doing something for somebody else. And whenever you're in that type of position, you're costing the company money. And the company doesn't care about paying you. The company doesn't care about bringing in more people to do your work because they just want to get by with whatever they can get. Because in all honesty, if the economy was great, if the companies made a lot of money, if everything was going so well, they wouldn't need to outsource people to other countries. They wouldn't need to run with a skeleton crew. They would be able to hire everybody they needed. But they don't. And that tells you maybe the economy is not that great. And so let's get back to the topic at hand. Why is it so hard to get a job? Well, simply put, there's a lot of competition. And over the years, especially in the last 4 years, the number of companies has decreased because a majority of the employment that happened in the private sector were more than half were hired by small businesses, meaning companies that were not super multinational companies. But what did we experience over the last 4 years? Okay, I'm really talking about 3-4 years ago. We had a situation to where companies were shut down because people were afraid. And when you're afraid, you're easy to control. And so since all these companies shut down because nobody would go shop if they weren't allowed to be open, we now have fewer employment opportunities. And because we have fewer employment opportunities, the number of positions available for people to work obviously is less, right? So, and then you add things on top of that, we have years upon years of large corporations buying up smaller ones. And the more small companies you have, the more opportunities you have to be in great roles, to be in great positions, great paying positions. Because if you were in a small company and they need a marketing person, well, they're either going to outsource that marketing to another company or they're going to keep it in-house. But if there are fewer small companies, that's going to be fewer opportunities for marketing, right? Because, if you're just in a large company, you just have one marketing department for everything. And so what happens, instead of having great paying jobs in marketing, and you want to be in marketing, your only option really is to go work for some large company making $40,000 a year. And in those positions, you typically don't get the experience that you need to really grow your career if you were working for a small company developing their marketing program. But the biggest reason that this is one of the most common questions is because the knowledge on how to look for a job is bad. The education is not there. Schools do not provide it. Colleges do not provide it. All they basically do is have a bunch of people who don't know any better say, learn how to make a resume. And that's okay. Usually the resume is fine that they teach you. But when it comes to actual strategies on how to find a job, they don't teach it because they don't know, because they've never had to find a job. Okay, so why is it so hard to find a job? Because you're probably applying for a million different jobs online. You're probably, you're probably an Indeed monkey. You're probably spending all your time on Indeed typing and punching and saying apply, 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 apply. And you're just one after the other. I bet if we let's just look real quick. Oh yeah, here we go. I've sent over 1,000 applications globally on multiple platforms in less than 3 months, and I've only received about 5 interviews. Could somebody please help or give me advice on what I could be doing wrong? On what I could be doing wrong. Yeah, so there we go. They've been applying. They spend all their time sitting at their computer. Now just imagine for a moment that you're trying to build a shed. You're trying to build a shed. And you say, well, I got 1 month to build a shed. And then you spend, you go online and you look and you do a Google search and you say, okay, well, here's what a shed looks like. Oh, okay, we can make a shed out of wood. We can make a shed out of steel. We can make a shed out of this. And you go, oh, look at all the different materials we can make a shed out of. And then you talk to people on Reddit about how to make a shed. You do YouTube searches on do-it-yourself sheds. And you spend all your time making a shed. And then one day you go, man, I don't know. I've spent 5 weeks learning about how to make a shed, but I still don't have a shed in the backyard. Look, there's nothing back there. I don't know. What am I doing wrong? Right. And that's what's happening here. That's what's happening. Is that instead of spending your time making the shed, you're spending all your time researching how. At some point, your feet have to touch the pavement. You've got to pound the pavement a little bit. There has to be some effort to get a job. And so what this person is doing wrong, well, they're not really doing anything wrong. They're just doing what everybody else is doing. And so when you have 1 million people who are all applying for the same jobs, the odds are, astronomical that you're even going to get an interview. Because I guarantee you, if we did not have the internet and you took this person's resume and you handed it to each one of these employers, and they took that and they said, oh man, oh yeah, yours is the best one. I guarantee you they probably would have had 800 interviews because you're just one in a sea of many. That's just the way it is. That's the situation you put yourself into. It's what everybody else is doing. And that's why it's not working. Simple as that. Now, it could still be part of your research. It could still be part of your process of trying to find a job. And, I know a few people who maybe have gotten jobs by applying for online. I think I've got one, maybe two in the last 20 years. But for the most part, I haven't been applied. I haven't got a job that way. And so when you're trying to find a job, you have to do it the right way. So when you're trying to find a job, what should you do? Well, you need to have a better plan. You need to make sure that you're not only going after what's online, because that's a small percent of what's actually out there. You need to go after smaller companies. You need to talk to recruiters. You need to talk to other types of employers. There's a lot more out there and a lot of other ways to do it rather than just sitting around thinking, oh, I've applied. I'm, hanging out my underwear. Now I'm going to get a job. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. Actually, it's pretty much the most ineffective way to ever find a job. But, what's really going on here? We're in a certain position in our country where our manufacturing has been gutted. Manufacturing work opportunities for many people have been taken away from us. Where we normally would have people who work their whole life in manufacturing have had to do other work. They've had to go in construction, into IT, into medicine. They've had to do a lot of other things. And because our manufacturing is gone, essentially, people have had to do other things, and because of that, it makes it so much more difficult to find a job. Our country should be the greatest, most productive manufacturing country in the world. It should be, but it's not. Finding a job, finding a well-paying job in this country should be one of the easiest things that we have to do. There should be absolutely no complaints whatsoever. Our country should be so strong economically that people can work in manufacturing for 40 years and never get laid off and get pensions. Our country is so strong, it should be so strong, that finding a job should not be like pulling teeth, but should be more like eating ice cream. See, we have taken away what makes America great. What made America great was productivity, leadership, morals, authority, ethics. But we have taken all those things away. We have outsourced them. We have said we don't care anymore. Now we would rather have a group of oligarchs decide what is important for the American people instead of having this great, great country. And that's what we've decided to do. But it can go back. We can put an end to a lot of these things that are destroying our country. We need smaller companies. We need to start breaking up the monopolies. We need to start being America again and start producing again. And when we do that, we would become the most productive, most powerful country the world has ever seen. Not just in productivity, not just in resources, but in culture, in creativity, in art. We would be the most powerful country in the world. We would be the standard in which people should be living all across the globe, but we don't. We don't. And we don't because there's a few people who don't want it. Now you might ask, why is it so hard to get a job? Well, I've already pretty well laid a lot of that out. But understand that if you're in a situation to where you're trying to find a job, it's difficult because the people who know it's difficult, the people who want to pretend like the economy is great, don't want you to know that the economy is bad. They want you to think that this is normal. They want this to be the new normal. And every time they redefine our country, it becomes the new normal. This is not normal. This is not what it should be. This is not at all how it's supposed to be. You are being duped into believing that this is the way America is and how it has always been. You're being duped. You're not being prepared on how to find a job because they don't want you to have a job. How about that? They don't want you to have a job. And why don't they want you to have a job? Because if you had a job, you would realize how screwed we all are. And that's it for today. I'm SB Graham. This is Jobferno. If you have any questions, let me know. Send me an email at questions@jobferno.com. And as always, choose skills over money.